What if you could blog a lot less often, not really worry about what your content idea should be, not be struggling about what to write about, and while all at the same time get better results in SEO, be able to get more traffic, and just have more time for other things? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. I call it the Redwood Strategy, and let's get started on it. The tallest tree in the world is thought to be about 700 to 800 years old, although these redwood trees get to be as old as 2,000 years. These are really old, really large trees. Perhaps you've seen them up in the Northern California area. The oldest tree is called Hyperion, and it's 379 feet tall, about 74 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty. Really, really big tree. But here's the thing, did that tree get that way overnight? Absolutely not. As I said, it's about 800 years old. Some of these things are well over 1,000 years old, but they all started off like any other tree. It started off with a seed. It used to be a tree that you and I probably could have knocked down with our leg. And then over the multiple years, they've gotten bigger. And we've all seen these trees where you cut them down and you've seen the tree rings in there. And many of us know, and it generally is thought of, that each ring of the tree indicates, I think, a year of how old that tree is. Now, I've never seen the internals of a sequoia redwood tree, but I would imagine they've got tree rings just the same. And the idea is that it's just getting bigger every single time. It's a new layer of wood until the point where these little seedling trees now are towering above the forest, way above all the other trees. They're much larger than everything else. And it's with that metaphor in mind that I want to talk to you about what I call the Redwood Strategy and how it applies to your blog. Because what we're going to be doing here is looking at the forest of your blog archives, all these blog posts that you've created. But some of them we're going to nominate as what we call Redwood posts, and we're going to treat them differently. We're going to come back, we're going to update it periodically over time. Let's talk about the benefits of doing this. When I ran a recent survey to my list, and I was just asking people what was most standing in their way with regards to growing their blog and growing their online business around that blog. And the most common responses that I got were in the area of being overwhelmed, not having enough time, not knowing what to blog about because they're running out of ideas. And it was just one of these things to where it showed me that the actual act of creating blog content was their biggest problem, that it was literally getting in the way, and that in many cases I saw way too much of a focus on making more blog posts, new blog posts, than actually trying to grow their business. Something had to change there. Something does have to change. Now, I want to point out to you what happened for me last year in 2016 here at the Blog Marketing Academy. In fact, I went and ran some numbers here, and let me pull them up here. In my business last year, I published 41 blog posts to this blog, only 41. So that's definitely averaging, less than one per week. But here's the thing, of those 41 blog posts, 12 of them were podcast episodes. Okay, so that brings us down to 29 actual written standard blog posts, just 29 blog posts in all of 2016. Now, 7 of those actually were not new blog posts. I simply updated one and brought it forward again. Okay, so that brings up only 22 actual new blog posts that I created. Okay, that is averaging maybe one new blog post every 2 to 3 weeks. And then the other ones were basically updates. Okay, now here's the thing. I probably could have done more updates and not written the 22 blog posts. Not only that, I will tell you that those 7 posts and a few of the other ones here have done more of the heavy lifting, that most of my traffic didn't actually go to those 22 new blog posts. But here's the results. You might think, well, being that I'm blogging a lot less, oh, my traffic must have really suffered here, that things did not go as well for my business in 2016. Well, actually not. Now here's some real talk. Did my traffic go up in 2016? Well, no, it actually did drop, but here's what happened. It only went down 1.9% over 2015. So essentially, it barely even moved the needle. But here's what actually happened. I took a lot more time off in 2016. I went out on vacations with my family. We owned an RV and we went up into Canada and New York and Maine, and we were traveling around. We spent most of our summer gone, and there were several other trips during the year that we did. And when I'm out on those vacations with my family, I keep up with the business, but I'm not out there writing a bunch of blog posts and stuff because that's not what I'm there for. But all while that was happening, I made about 14% more revenue in my business in 2016 than I did in 2015. So basically, the theme was that I worked less, I certainly blogged less, but yet I made more money and I was on vacation a lot more. So blogging does not have to be this huge time-consuming thing. So that brings us to the Redwood strategy. The Redwood strategy is essentially where instead of creating new blog posts, or I wouldn't say even instead, it's more like in addition to creating new blog posts, you're making a point to go back and update the old ones. Okay. Now there's some details that go into that I want to make sure that you have so that you can make the most out of this. The first thing I want to make sure you understand about this is that this is not just about making a much longer blog post. That is going to definitely happen, but it's also the mindset, because what you're going to do is you're turning a blog post into a long-term marketing asset. It's now no longer really just a blog post. It's something that you're going to utilize in all of your follow-up marketing. Whenever somebody asks a question that has to do with that topic, you're going to refer them to this blog post. This blog post is going to be something that you might run Facebook ads to. It's going to be something that you build into your autoresponder so that all new email subscribers will become aware of this blog post. This is going to be something that you share organically over and over again in social media. You're going to retweet this same thing over and over. You're going to reshare it to Facebook over and over. I mean, not every day, but this is not something where it's just going to be a one hit wonder. This is something where you're going to spend a lot more time marketing and promoting this blog post and seeing if you can get backlinks to it and all the stuff that we would do to market our blog content. You're going to spend most of that time now doing this on your Redwood post, not necessarily on the rest of it, because the Redwood posts are what's going to do most of the heavy lifting for our blogs. And therefore, we're going to be spending more time on that content to really knock it out of the park. So that's one really important component of the mindset, is that we're going to spend a lot more time marketing and promoting that blog post than actually creating it. The next thing you're going to have to take into account is what topics are you going to make your Redwood post around. You want these Redwood posts to be basically a big major guide on one of the hot topics in your market. And most likely your market, your niche, the people that you serve, have various hot topics. In mine, I got various ones, like a lot of people get confused on how to choose the right niche for their blog. I get a lot of interest in membership sites, blog monetization, how to get more traffic. I mean, these are things that are just very common concerns for bloggers. And so therefore I have a Redwood post dedicated to each of these things, which really just floods them with information on these things. So when somebody asks me a question about how do I get more traffic to my blog, I now have a major Redwood post that I can refer them to that is going to completely and totally answer their question on how to get more traffic to their blog. So you want to look at your market in terms of what are the hot topics. And you can determine this by looking at questions that get answered a lot. You can look at your own blog archives and look at the traffic to them and see which content is actually getting the most traffic and turn those into a Redwood post. You can also look at other people's sites and look at, use a tool like buzzsumo.com to plug in hot topics for your market and see what some of the most popular content is. Because if there's big major guides on other people's sites that are doing really well, well, guess what? You could make a guide on the same thing and just make yours better. So utilize the intelligence that you've got out there out on the internet, and also what your audience is telling you to determine what you're going to make these Redwood posts about. Now, what are some of the things that you're going to do with this Redwood post? Are you just going to add more? No, I mean, yeah, you're going to be adding more, but here's what I don't want you to do is just get stuck in this mindset of creating long-winded written content. In order to make a Redwood post truly a Redwood post, it's going to have to span multiple media. Not everybody likes to read big, long posts. Some of my Redwood posts end up being over 4,000 words. Do people want to sit down and read that? Well, some do. Some people would rather watch a video like this one. Okay, so work videos into your blog post. Put a lot of images in there. Now we're talking about good, solid, relevant images, things that are unique. I'm not saying go and get generic stock photography. I don't want you to rely on that. I think it should be relevant images that are relevant to what's going on. If you're showing somebody how to do something, show them pictures of that action actually taking place. Like make it to where it's both visual, audio, and written. Have links that go both to your own content throughout the rest of your blog as well as to other people, because this is the internet. It is completely unnatural and expect that you're going to be linking to other people as well. Also, when it comes to videos, if the idea of making your own videos just kind of causes your head to explode, you can use other people's videos. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And to that point, here's the thing. You can put yourself into a position of a curator, in which case you are combining content that other people made, combining them into a mega resource post that is based on content that other people made, but then you're adding your own twist to it. And so what you're doing is you're combining stuff from a myriad of different resources out there that would have taken your reader just hours and hours to go out there and find it all on their own. But you've done it and you've brought it into this one post. It gives you the opportunity to use other images from other sites, with credit, of course, to embed their YouTube videos into your blog post. But throughout this thing, you are actually adding your own unique twist to it as well and creating your own unique piece of content and bringing it all together. And it turns it into just a huge resource post on a particular topic. So this is not something where you need to come up with every single thing in there, all unique to you. There's a few other things that I like to do in my post, especially when I update one, is I like to modify the headline so that they know that it has been updated. Just like you would see on food packaging or a bottle of shampoo, sometimes they modify the look. They just make it look different to kind of make it look fresher. And they say, now with 33% more shampoo or whatever. You can do the same type of stuff with your blog content. You know, is it the 2017 edition? Version 2.0. If you had 50 some resources before, now it's 65. I mean, you're just adding more to it, or you can just put the word updated in there. There's various things that you can do to make it so that from the outside, people know that you are adding more to it. When you add 2017 edition or something like that to your blog content, it just makes it feel more important. Another thing that I like to do is add a table of contents to the top of really large posts. Now, this accomplishes a few things. One is that it allows the person to jump down to areas that are going to be much hotter topic for them. But the other thing is that when you phrase each of those bullet points in that list, which is going to just jump you down to a subheadline, each of those things is like a little subheadline on that blog post that they're going to scan it because it's going to be right there at the top, and it's going to make them want to read it. Okay, because even if the headline didn't do the deed, and they might see that it's long, one of those bullet points are like, oh, that looks really intriguing, and they're going to want to hit that and scroll down. Okay, and all these things go into increasing your SEO and your traffic. So let's get into how this is actually going to increase your SEO and your traffic. SEO has changed. It's evolved, I should say. It's no longer just about backlinks and keywords. What Google and a lot of these other search engines are looking for are signs of engagement and quality. And some of the things that they look at in terms of that is how long are people on the page? Because if it's not very good, they're not going to stick around very long. Do people bounce back right away? Do they come to that blog post, or do they hang around? Do they scroll down the page? These are all things that are signs of quality. Are there comments on that blog post? Are there social shares? Are people retweeting it and sharing it on Facebook and putting it on Google Plus? Now, here's the thing. If you're constantly churning out brand new stuff and then moving on to the next one and doing it all over again, then none of those blog posts have really had a lot of time to build up those assets. Okay? Versus if you were to update an older blog post and then redistribute it again, then what you're doing is any social shares that thing gets are now being added to whatever social shares were already there. When you add new things to the page, it increases their time on page. Not only that, there's the search engines are seeing that people are going to that thing all over again. It's not like they're seeing that post has new life, that it's been updated. These are all signs of quality to search, and Google loves this stuff. And so for that reason, you're actually leveraging all the things that give Google the signs of quality and ultimately get your rankings up when you can recycle an older blog post and turn it into a Redwood, and you keep repeating over and over again. Now, on top of that, you're also doing things like emailing those revisions out to your whole email list. You could be even running Facebook ads to it and boosting it. The point is that every time you do that, you're adding more fuel to whatever fuel was already there. It's like you're giving it a whole new spark, and you are building a long-term marketing asset here rather than just throwing one out and it kind of, and then you move on to the next one and then, and it's like you haven't really given any one blog post the time and the effort to really build up into a truly popular piece of content for your blog. And therefore, most of your blog posts don't do a whole lot of heavy lifting. Okay? So what we're talking about is coming back, recycling these things, adding new rings to the tree layer, and eventually turning these things into Redwood posts that tower above most of the other blog content. It's so much more efficient. You're going to get higher search rankings. You're going to be able to utilize these things as long-term marketing assets. That is the Redwood strategy in a nutshell. Now, what I would recommend personally is shooting for about a 50-50 ratio. Now, this is just something to shoot for. It doesn't mean you have to do it. Obviously, in 2016, I did not hit 50-50. I published 29 blog posts, but 7 of them were updates, okay? But 50-50 is really nice because basically then you'll be creating about 50% of your published posts will be brand new, and the other 50% are going to be times where you've gone back into the archives and you've revised and brought a new one forward. What you're going to do when you're going to revise a post and bring it forward as a Redwood is it's already published. What you're going to do is you're going to change the date of publish. You're just going to take the date inside of WordPress and you're going to bring it up to the present time date, and that brings it back up to the top of the archives on your blog as a brand new fresh post. It's very important not to change the URL. You can change the headline if you want, although I wouldn't do it drastically, but you can make some changes to it if you see fit, but definitely don't change the URL because that would break up any SEO love that blog post has already. But change the date, that brings it up, and then treat it like a brand new blog post. Everything that you would normally do to a brand new post, do it again on this Redwood post update. 50-50 ratio is great. It works even better for how-to type sites. If you're running an opinion-oriented blog, it might be a little bit harder to pull off this strategy. But most markets, especially the kind that are going to make good potential businesses, are going to be based around something that people are trying to accomplish or a problem they're trying to solve. And that type of stuff is going to naturally lead itself to some guides, which are great fuel for your Redwood posts. All right, well, that is the Redwood Strategy. Now, I do have an expanded version of this Redwood Strategy. In fact, I have a full course on all the ins and outs of actually doing the Redwood Strategy and also what you do afterward in order to make the most out of it. It does involve boosting it on Facebook, running some Facebook ads, and some other things as well. Now, that expanded Redwood Strategy is one of the courses that we have here inside the lab. Now, if you'd like to get into that, the lab is something that you can actually join us for and give it a whirl and try it out for just $1. So if you just pay $1, you can try out the lab. You're going to get access to every course I've ever created, but one of them is the expanded Redwood Strategy. So if you want to check that out, head on over to blogmarketingacademy.com/trial. Again, that's blogmarketingacademy.com/trial. Absolutely no pressure. It's totally up to you. Either way, whether you decide to go into the expanded Redwood Strategy or not, I've given you a lot of information in this video as well as below this video on how to actually execute the Redwood Strategy. I really recommend that you do. It's just a different, more efficient way of looking at your blogging. It's no longer about just chronology and that calendar and crap, I gotta publish a post because it's Monday. Those are all old school thoughts. You should not be thinking that way anymore about your blog because, quite frankly, it's just a recipe for burnout and not making any money doing it, okay? The Redwood Strategy is very effective, and perhaps you will have time to go out on more vacations like I did, okay? Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.